Let me ask you, Robert, why don't you just give a little bit of a background in case anyone of our audience doesn't know who you are?
Well, I'm fortunate to have been the son of an oil engineer. I spent my whole life overseas, 10 years in Asia, including 4 years in Vietnam during wartime, 10 years in Latin America. Came back for college and my first graduate degree, decided I had become too educated, so I joined the Marine Corps and became an infantry officer. Found infantry boring in peacetime, and I was very, very pleased to be competitively selected as a spy. I think 20,000 apply for every one that gets selected. And I did spying for 9 years. I had 5 times the regional average in recruitments of traitors and in production. And I also wrote the CIA's first ever standard operating procedure for a clandestine field station. Believe it or not, they didn't have one when I joined. I was asked by the Marine Corps, where I'd stayed a reserve officer, to come back to the Marine Corps and create the Marine Corps Intelligence Command. And I did that as the ranking civilian working for a colonel, an extraordinary man, Walter Breedy III, who's a Naval Academy graduate. And those are very rare creatures in the Marine Corps. And Walt and I created the Marine Corps Intelligence Command for General Al Gray, one of the greatest generals we've ever had. And that's when I discovered, after spending a great deal of money accessing secrets, that the secret intelligence community doesn't know anything about 96% of the real world. They don't follow Somalia and Haiti and Burundi. There was just a book out called Debriefing Saddam Hussein that concluded, after debriefing Saddam Hussein, that everything CIA thought it knew about Iraq and Saddam Hussein was flat out wrong. Okay? They're relying on secrets, second and third hand, so on. So I became the champion of open source intelligence, which is not just private investigators and investigative journalists and commercial intelligence, but it's actually the proven process of intelligence. Collection requirement, what do you need to know? Who knows it? Putting it all together, verifying, validating, distilling, discriminating, and then finally presenting to a decider on one note card an answer. And I found that most deciders understand 3 colors, red, yellow, and green. So I can get down any complex question to one note card with 3 colors. And that's the craft of intelligence. Where the U.S. intelligence community has gone wrong is, first off, it was created by Wall Street. The CIA was created by Wall Street to be its secret lily pad inside of the U.S. government. This is a story told by the Devil's Chessboard, which is also complemented by Colonel Lou Prudy's The Secret Team. So, although I've written about there are 7 CIAs, the bottom line here is that CIA as an institution is a cancer within the U.S. government. This is how the elite use 1,000 military bases all over the world and military aircraft and ships conscripted allegedly for national security purposes to smuggle gold, cash, drugs, guns, and small children.
Oh.
And this is one of the reasons why I've recommended to Donald Trump through my writings that he close all 1,000 bases overseas and bring our army home.
Wow. Okay. You just said a whole bunch of things. I do believe that our audience is going to be interested in one thing you said, and I've heard you talk about this. So forgive me if this is kind of redundant to you, but let's go back. You said there are seven different CIAs, if you will. Can you explain that?
I'd be glad to. I've written about it, so your listeners can look at phi-beta-iota.net. They can look up 7 CIAs. Essentially, there is a Wall Street CIA, which helps Wall Street do illegal things. There is a White House CIA, which helps the White House do illegal things. There is a Zionist CIA, which helps Israel do illegal things. There is also a Saudi Arabian CIA, and John Brennan was its highest paid agent until recently when he left his position as director of the CIA. That Saudi Arabian CIA is also the one that does rendition and torture, which I am violently opposed to. Torture does not work. Waterboarding does not work. And I'm very, very pleased that Donald Trump had the presence of mind to accept General Jim Mattis's statement to that effect. General Mattis, like myself, has been there, done that. He knows it does not work. And then there is the normal CIA. These are the people sitting in cubicles who go through the motions. Generally, fat, pasty-faced, white, old guys. Okay?
Got it.
And finally, you have the drone assassination CIA. This is the CIA that is killing thousands of people all over the world, 98% of whom are men, women, and children who are completely innocent. I consider that a crime against humanity and a disgrace to the American Republic.
Wow. Okay. And folks, our guest, Robert David Steele.
You did ask.
Yeah, and you did answer. And my goodness, without any ambiguity whatsoever. So, okay. How many, within that grouping, how many are actual out there, spies? How many spies are there, like, doing the spy work, the James Bond kind of stuff?
Well, the short answer is fewer than 10.
Okay.
The longer answer, because there are roughly 10 really incredible human beings that do things that make me shrivel up and want to die. Beyond them are another 100 to 200 of what we call non-official cover officers.
Knox.
These are people who actually risk being beaten to death and thrown into jail and buried deep and never seen again. The vast majority of the so-called clandestine case officers are under official cover, which means they're traveling with official U.S. government documentation. If they're caught and put into jail, they are basically bailed out and sent home. They are pretending to be spies. Okay, and I was one of them. And I will tell you flat out that as long as the CIA continues to rely on official cover, which is to say their officers return to and from a known fixed official installation multiple times during the day, throwing cash around like it's going out of style, they are all identified within 2 to 3 weeks of arriving in country. All of their agents are known to local liaison, and the whole thing is a mockery of the concept of clandestine intelligence. CIA's dirty little secret is that 90% of all of the stuff that it claims it has stolen has in fact either been handed to it as a gift from a foreign intelligence service, such as the Jordanian intelligence service, or has been obtained from legal traveler debriefings here in the United States of America. CIA as an intelligence service is a fraud. It is very, very effective at working for Wall Street, but it is a fraud in terms of serving the American public.
Okay. Those are some harsh words, but spoken by a man who knows what he's talking about. Again, Robert David Steele is our guest. His website.
Well, forgive me. Let me just interrupt really quick.
Go ahead.
Among my 8 books on intelligence reform, my first 2 enjoy forwards from past chairman of the Senate Select Committee for Intelligence. Senator David Boren wrote the foreword to my first book on intelligence, spies and secrecy in an open world. Senator Pat Roberts from Kansas wrote the foreword to my book, The New Craft of Intelligence. Let me really stress to your readers that I want to consolidate all of our classified intelligence capabilities back into the Central Intelligence Agency. But first, 2/3 of it needs to be fired.
Wow. Okay. Two-thirds bureaucratic dead weight?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And totally unnecessary. Do we have a problem? And this is kind of a maybe a left-handed question, but do we have a problem within the agency itself of leaks and traitorous type of activity, or is that something that we shouldn't? I mean, we don't have to worry about too much.
For me, the greatest betrayal of the public trust is to fail to do duty in the public service. In that respect, CIA is a complete failure. In terms of actual treason, I would say most CIA employees are good, loyal people. They're good, decent human beings who are trapped in a bad system. But at the very highest level, I would estimate that there are no fewer than 30 active traitors in the CIA that the FBI is not allowed to go after.